Barnaby Butterfingers. A name whispered in the wind, not with awe, but with a healthy dose of, oh dear, what's he done now? Picture, if you will, a man whose brain was a carousel of brightly coloured, yet utterly useless thoughts. He once tried to pay his rent with Monopoly money. He believed sheepdogs herded fluffy white clouds, and he was absolutely, unequivocally convinced that the Titanic was, in fact, a giant, unsinkable bathtub. Barnaby wasn't a bad sort, mind you, just a tad challenged in the common sense department. He approached life with the unbridled enthusiasm of a puppy in a confetti factory, blissfully unaware of the chaos he left in his wake. Little did he know his path was about to intersect with history in the most spectacularly silly way imaginable. Fasten your life vests, folks, because with Barnaby on board, the Titanic's maiden voyage was about to get a whole lot more interesting. It all started, as most unfortunate events often do, with a raffle ticket. Now Barnaby wasn't known for his luck. He once lost a staring contest to a goldfish, twice, but on this particular day, fate, in all its twisted humour, decided to smile upon him. The prize? A one-way ticket on the grandest ship ever built, the RMS Titanic. Barnaby, mistaking the luxurious liner for a floating water park, was ecstatic. He packed his suitcase with inflatable ducks, a snorkel for underwater sightseeing naturally, and enough peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to feed a small army. The day he boarded the Titanic, he marched up the gangplank, inflatable duck tucked proudly under his arm, utterly oblivious to the awestruck stares and hushed whispers that followed his every step. He was ready for an adventure. Oh, if only they knew. Life aboard the Titanic was, to put it mildly, eventful with Barnaby around. He treated the grand staircase like his personal playground, sliding down the banister until a stern-looking duchess threatened to whack him with her umbrella. He tried to pay the orchestra to play Baby Shark on repeat, and in a moment of culinary inspiration he decided to enhance the ship's pristine white exterior with his lunch, flinging tomato soup at the side of the ship. Convinced he was creating a masterpiece, needless to say the first-class passengers were both bewildered and slightly terrified of the well-meaning but utterly clueless man-child in their midst. He was like a bull in a china shop, except the bull was wearing a life vest on his head and singing sea shanties slightly off-key. One evening, as the Titanic sliced through the icy Atlantic, Barnaby stumbled upon a group of sailors struggling to break apart a large block of ice. "Having a bit of trouble, are we, lads?" he chirped, ever eager to lend a helping hand, or rather a helping foot. Before anyone could stop him, he took a running leap and delivered a mighty kick to the ice block. The result was less than successful. The ice, as ice is prone to do, remained intact. Barnaby, on the other hand, found himself sprawled on his back, staring up at the night sky. He mumbled. "Tastes kind of funny." Unbeknownst to Barnaby, his little escapade with the ice had not gone unnoticed. On the ship's bridge, a lookout squinted through his binoculars, a perplexed frown etched on his face. "Captain," he muttered into the speaking tube, "did we just order a side of slapstick comedy with our iceberg?" Barnaby's antics weren't limited to inanimate objects and bewildered crew members. Oh no, he was an equal opportunity nuisance. He engaged stuffy businessmen in conversations about the merits of collecting belly-button lint. He challenged elderly ladies to staring contests, which, given his track record, he inevitably lost. And he spent an inordinate amount of time trying to convince people that the lifeboats were actually giant, orange-flavoured candies. His attempts at making friends were, shall we say, unconventional. He once tried to impress a group of socialites by juggling dinner rolls, only to end up flinging a particularly crusty one into the bejeweled lapdog of a rather imposing duchess. Suffice to say, Barnaby's social standing among the first-class passengers remained firmly in the tolerated oddity category. Section 6. Man overboard. I call dibs on his dessert. Barnaby's interactions with the crew. The crew of the Titanic, hardened seafarers that they were, had never encountered anything quite like Barnaby. He was a force of nature, a whirlwind of nonsensical questions and baffling actions. He peppered the stewards with inquiries like, "Why is the ocean salty? Did someone spill the pepper? And if the ship is unsinkable, why are we wearing these funny vests?" Once he even mistook the captain for a waiter, cheerfully snapping his fingers and requesting a large order of ice. "No water, please." Despite their best efforts to maintain order and decorum, even the most seasoned crew members found themselves struggling to stifle laughter at the man's sheer obliviousness. Section 7, Lifeboat Logic. One man's trash is another man's unsinkable vessel. Then came that fateful night. The night the unsinkable met its icy match. As chaos erupted and the realization that this was no ordinary joyride dawned on the other passengers, Barnaby remained characteristically unfazed. "Oh, a bit of a wobble is all," he declared, steadying a vase that wasn't there. "Must be those giant squid again." While others scrambled for lifeboats, Barnaby busied himself gathering what he deemed essential for survival at sea: a rubber ducky, a half-eaten jar of peanut butter, and a ukulele he'd found earlier, and somehow learned to play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star on, albeit quite badly. He then proceeded to construct a makeshift raft out of life jackets and deck chairs, convinced that his superior engineering skills would save the day. He even offered to let others join his unsinkable vessel, though his assurances were met with a healthy dose of skepticism and a wide berth. Section 8. So, anyone else feel a draft? Barnaby's delayed reaction to the sinking. As the Titanic dipped lower into the icy water, Barnaby finally began to sense that something was amiss. "Blimey," he muttered, clutching his rubber ducky. "It's a bit nippy out here." Even as the ship split in two and the icy Atlantic waters rushed in, Barnaby remained remarkably calm, albeit slightly confused. He waved cheerfully to the passengers and crew huddled in lifeboats, shouting, "Enjoy the swim! I hear there are mermaids," before grabbing his ukulele and launching into a rather spirited rendition of "Row, Row, Row Your Boat," his final act of oblivious brilliance. As the last of the Titanic slipped beneath the waves, he tied his ukulele to his rubber ducky, inflated his life vest, and floated away on a makeshift raft, humming a jaunty tune. Section 9, Epilogue. Floating to fame, the legend of Barnaby, the Titanic's most resourceful passenger. What became of Barnaby Butterfingers, you ask? Legend has it he was picked up by a passing cargo ship, much to the crew's astonishment. He regaled them with tales of his grand adventure on the big floaty bathtub, complete with exaggerated hand gestures and sound effects. News of his miraculous survival and baffling obliviousness spread like wildfire. He became an overnight sensation, the luckiest fool alive. Newspapers clamored for interviews, ladies swooned at his feet, or at least at his ability to survive a shipwreck with a ukulele. And he even landed a book deal, though whether he could actually write was a matter of much debate. Barnaby Butterfingers, the man who mistook the Titanic for a bathtub, became an unlikely hero, a testament to the fact that sometimes, just sometimes, it's better to be lucky than smart. And so, the legend of Barnaby, the Titanic's most resourceful passenger, was passed down through generations. A hilarious reminder that even in the face of disaster, there's always room for a little laughter.